before I learned the art. Leave all this shit behind, parallel to the piece of me I lost within my mind. I'm closing my door now, twisting the letters into art. How this place is like a conveyor belt, round and around my head, and it won't stop there. I know it's okay to be alone. I choose what to ignore. All I hear
Good
is
evening.
different voices.
Hey! Welcome to the Roundhouse Poetry Slam 2015. There I am. I'm here now. Hello, good evening. Yeah, that's better. How you all doing? Yeah. My name's Chris Redmond. I am your host for this evening. It gives me great pleasure to be that person. Welcome and well done for making it out. What an amazing bunch of beautiful people you are. Here to hear 12 wonderful poets to compete for the title of Slam Champion 2015. Are you all here to support someone? All of them? You're here because you know someone who's sitting here? Yeah! You feel that love? You feel that love? Look at them. They've got gold chairs and everything. So it's going to work like this. We've got 3 fine judges, and they're going to be judging on the quality of the writing and the quality of the performance. We're not going to hold scorecards up. They're just going to judge quietly and kindly and write down their scores. We're going to do it in 2 halves. So each poet has got 2 pieces to perform, and then at the end, someone will be crowned champion. Let's introduce the judges. Over here, sharing the same wardrobe advisor as me, fine poet and kind of host of brilliant poetry night, Bang Said the Gun, Mr. Daniel Cockrill. In the middle, another fine poet, former member of the Roundhouse Poetry Collective, and now kind of theatre maker and full-time poet hustler, Talia Randall. And all the way from South Africa, courtesy of the British Council, joining us for this whole kind of festival, part of the word and sound crew in Johannesburg, Mr. Xabiso Vili. So, we've just got a couple of things to do before we introduce our first poet and get this thing started. So there's a kind of level of applause that some of you may be familiar with at a poetry night, and I just want to get that out of the way now. It's kind of like a very tepid sort of Sunday afternoon in November. It's raining kind of applause. It's pretty low key. Can we just hear what that sounds like, please? Ooh. Now that's a little bit uncomfortable for everyone, isn't it? So let's get that one out of the way. We're not going to hear that again tonight because these people, they just need all your love and all your support. The more love we give them, the more they'll give back to you and the better night everyone will have. So let's just put our hands together for a sort of moderately appreciative round of applause. Yeah, that's good. And now let's just turn that up and add in some whooping and some hollering. That's it, because this is a big space. Let's fill it. Let's fill it. Come on, because we're here, people. We're here right now. We're here right now, and that's all we need. That's the one. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So, are we ready? When I say roundhouse, you say slam. Roundhouse. Roundhouse. Please welcome our first slammer, Jaden Larker.
I never fret about getting the bus unless it's the last one. I'm sure there's a metaphor in there somewhere, but I can't be asked to find one. Glancing at a security camera monitor, just it switches to a different view, and that split-second paranoid sensation you get like it's pretending it wasn't watching you. That random fit girl that gets on and calls you to think, I hope she gets off at my stop. Then the awkward realization that you sound a little bit like a rapist or a stalker, or both. But after a while, when it's only you and a few others left, you feel relieved. Because if anyone in this bus is the rapist stalker, you're glad it's you. That sneaking suspicion that some strangers reading your inane scribblings over your shoulder, and the urge to turn around and go, mate, do you mind? They ask what you're doing, you tell them writing poetry. They say, oh, can I be in it? You tell them no. My stomach's revving like the rumble of every gear change. counting freckles on the windscreen illuminated by the placid glow of my boredom. Those that say there are no free rides in life have clearly never kept a day saver. When you can't afford change, you find ways to create it yourself. Scenery flies past unnoticed while we're being blinded by tiny glowing screens. Who needs rolling hills and dilapidated drunkards? We've got mildly monotonous memes. Let me leave little lazy limericks laden lavishly like laments, lingering listlessly, looming like literary leftovers. I'm too tired now to even try to maintain any semblance of sanity. Reality feels more like a fallacy. It'd anger me if it wasn't for my underwhelming apathy. I got halfway up Lazy Hill and decided to pack it in and pack a joint. Instagram it and wonder, what's the point? But life looks so much sicker through a fisheye and filters. And your thoughts seem so much smarter when read as a retweet. Thoughts always seem deeper when entertained at night, especially in comparison to the walk of shame home in the light. Smudged makeup of objectivity and a dress staying with reality. But for now, at least, the night is young-ish. So let me steal one last kiss before I lose myself in my own musings. If the moon is a mirror, then I've got one hell of an acne problem. But at least I glow brightly above all the rest. If beauty's real in the eye of the beholder, then the media must hold it all. Someone should really tell those suits to shut the hell up and double-check their facts, because the fact that most don't know they're beautiful is the biggest bag of bull the bourgeoisie ever beheld. The hell makes you think you got the right to judge others on anything? The only weight a woman needs to be is it measured in size, its only measure is healthy. And my iPhone's auto-corrected right to ugly, so what does that say about Apple? Probably nothing, but no one got nowhere fast from under analysis. A person's worth isn't measured by the shoes they wear, but where they choose to walk in them. You show me a wealthy man, then let me show you a man's worth ain't weighed in wealth. Money begets monotony, whereas freedom forges honesty. Cool commodity and manifest modesty. Who gives a damn what kind of car you got when you ain't got no soul to fill it? And the amount of bedrooms your house has is irrelevant because love never sleeps. Spend time and save money because time doesn't generate interest. You need general interest to generate time well spent. And for God's sake, tell your friends when they're about to do something stupid. Because sometimes being kind can be the cruelest cause of catastrophe. And there's no moral to this story. These statements are standalone. I'll never see Spartan stanzas, even if I have to stand alone. Thank you.
Jaden Larker. Keep it going for Natalie Steinhaus.
Okay, this is about the entertainment website BuzzFeed. You might know. Okay. In a little hipstery cafe full of splintery tables and laptops with cables that sprout from every corner like vines, sits a little guy with a face that's simultaneously spotty and dry, with his friend who looks about 9 and has brought her own juice or tea or piss or wine. And they're talking with their hands, like their hands are rolling dice, about indie bands and weed and articles on Vice and BuzzFeed, about all the issues, i.e. catcalling and people who are gay and proud but not allowed to kiss in restaurants. No use to me, says a gay bloke with a cheeky shrug as his silly old mug gets pulled from his hair and he's beaten by the mob and by the police. No use to me, grins a woman who doesn't speak because she's playing a little game of hide and seek with her husband and his hard knuckles and his alcoholic breath for the second time this week. And no use to me, says me. I say, because I agree, and so do they, sitting at their splinter table, that it should be okay to go about your day and not get shouted at or whistled at for being female or gay. But it's no use to anyone if they're not making changes, but just scorning the torn-off corner they think is the bigger picture. So they might as well whinge about anything, like ebooks, those little turds. Because who gives a shit about words compared to the smell of freshly printed ink and paper? Where's the romance of lady and lover if you can't run your hands up the length of a stiff hardcover of either your own book or that of another? And where's the thrill of a thriller if you can't feel like a proper killer as everyone sees you on the tube cracking a paperback at the spine so you can feel like you've got someone's neck on the northern line, as easy to twist as a Rubik's Cube? But maybe it's all okay because they're still talking in the same inactivist vein, which is great because what better way to gain your views than from a website made not for the news but to entertain. Say you're 14 and you get your kicks watching a show all in one go on Netflix. Meanwhile, you think the House of Commons is a slang term for a council estate. But it's cool because soon through the slits in the shutters, buttercup yellow streams of the real world flutter in. And outside the sun's bright morning blaze, outside one of many cafes, a woman walks and gets whistled at. Now, she is totally asking for it, walking like, hey, this trip to the co-op for milk could be a trip back to your place, handsome stranger. But this pair sit and stare from the cafe window thinking, she is asking for it, but the internet says a woman is never asking for it, and she is a woman. Therefore, she is not asking for it. Bingo, got it right. And now, BuzzFeed is one of the powers that be because ignorance is a thing of the past. Now they've shone their own light on those who can't be asked to see. Thanks.
Natalie Steinhaus. Keep it going, keep it going, keep it going for Charlotte Higgins.
Hi. There are loads of you. So I'm writing my master's dissertation on Seamus Heaney's poetry, or like not writing enough of it as the case may be. And every time I tell someone that, they're like, oh, that makes sense, like Northern Irish poetry, of course. But it's not quite as straightforward as that, and I wasn't always a fan. And this is a poem about why. It's called Changing My Mind. In a whole book called Changing My Mind, Zadie Smith wrote that there were some books she would never read as a child. When her mother left them on her bedside table and thought she would like them because they were black women's words. Later, she said, I didn't want to read them then. I didn't want to like them just because they were like me. I used to feel the same way about Heaney. I thought just because he is Irish and Catholic, that doesn't mean that he speaks for us all. But a few weeks after I finished school, I went to Donegal. And his words were how I understood this strange home country. I didn't bring any of his books with me, but I heard the place names in his tone, like Broch and a Horish, Inishowen. Malin Head is as far north as Ireland goes, and pilgrims rearrange the bleached, chipped bones of the land, these tiny, perfect stones, into names, into love, into era, into poetry. As we drove the laneways home, Heaney's words kept coming back to me, the end of that short poem of his, Broch. The last, the strangers all find difficult to manage. I have never yet felt stranger, more at home.
Charlotte Higgins, ladies and gentlemen. Judges, how you doing? You all right? Keeping it going quickly. Do you need any more time to catch up? You cool? You cool? All right, let's crack straight on. Please put your hands together and welcome to the stage, Georgie Jones.
When she was younger, she and her mother would stand side by side and stare into a mirror. As young as 11, she'd wish she was thinner, wish to exchange her body for one smaller in size. Then as curves erupted, her mother would smile and say, embrace transformation into woman from child, take pride in this body. So they'd stand and they'd watch as bodies would change. And as she grew older, her mother would say, you have good, strong, childbearing hips, and you'll never be let down by your thighs. But for her, these good, strong, childbearing hips had no bearing on nourishment, only bearing on width. She saw small breasts above wide hips and thick thighs. And the mirror said she had to be defined by her size, so she'd measure her body with her body.
with fingers around wrists and forearms, with 2 hands around one neck and one calf as it becomes one thigh. And if the tips of her fingers don't touch, she's not right. So she spent days finding ways to mask disproportion. To apologize for the width of her thighs, she'd hide them beneath ill-fitting menswear. Loose trousers and baggy t-shirts concealed insecurities, and she'd choose to sweat beneath long sleeves and jumpers in summer just because she didn't think that she looked like the others, and it didn't even matter how hard she tried because she could never quite get that gap between her thighs and she couldn't see her bone through her flesh. She was afraid of being out of proportion, wiping steam from the mirror and just seeing distortion. Her body an anatomical blunder she didn't know how to embrace, and whilst achnaic constellations embroidered her face, she would plaster her alabaster skin with layer upon layer upon layer of makeup, hoping one day to wake up and look like the woman on the billboard. To look like the woman on the billboard, in the newspaper, on the magazines, in the television, that bright-eyed, white-toothed woman who poses scantily clad as parenthetical limbs frame slender finger on slender waist, insurmountably symmetrical. But then she met somebody who told her she was beautiful. But her naive mind incited misinterpretations of validation and love, so whatever they had, whatever that was, quickly became used and useless. Little more than flowering bruises, and before she knew it, it was back to just her. Just her, standing in front of the mirror, having endured transformation into woman from child. She studies her figure and stifles a smile as she begins, perhaps, to feel comfortable in her own skin. As she begins to learn to carry pounds and curves with head held high, to love the bulge of hips and thighs, twisting and curling and fleshing out dresses like an ampersand. To understand that she isn't real. So give the middle finger to the billboard and throw the magazines in the bin. She will win this battle. And we will win this war. Thank you.
Georgie Jones, ladies and gentlemen. Keep it going for Caleb Oluwafemi.
This is for Peckham. We are the children of the Nam, the bare-faced, 10-year-old dreamers who saw North Peckham a paradise to the hell of Jos, Freetown, and Yamoussoukro, who came and realized that the stories of gold-paved streets were just stories, but didn't even mind because we were here now with our lives and with each other, so what else could matter more? We are the children of the Nam, who learned to love the BBC and tea and the Queen and Oasis and Fatboy Slim on a Friday night during Top of the Pops, rehearsing the lyrics on the following Monday's trek to school whilst letting our native songs escape on an estuarine wind. We are the children of the Nam, who shunned the leprosy of our foreign accents, speaking in our mother tongues only in subdued decibels until some of us had forgotten it altogether. Iyami, Motigbagbiyo. We are the children of the Nam, who were scolded by teachers because the anecdotes we told of the times when we would kill goats, chickens, and rams in the thick heat of the unyielding sun to celebrate the union between a man and a woman, or the arrival of a traveling friend, or the peace given to those departed, traumatized the other kids, the very kids who brought to our attention that pounded yam and egusi soup was not suitable packed lunch. We are the children of the Nam, whose flesh was picked to the bone by the icy winds of December when winter took the mercy of the sun away, and we cried to our mothers that at least back home we were dying in warmth. We are the children of the Nam, who were in need of doctors not only for us but for our buildings that coughed up more of their bricks every night, our buildings that needed surgeons to unblock the clogged arteries of its garbage chutes. We were in need of doctors and surgeons, and they gave us spin doctors. We are the children of the Nam, the children of Peckham, Vietnam, Peckham, the Nam, the no-go zone because they don't want us there, so we don't want them here, the jungle, the Serengeti, except with a few minor details. You see, there were no predators there, only prey. There were no lions, only wildebeests and zebras and gazelles and flamingos. But the lions, in their cunning absence, let us believe that we were the predators. They let us hunt and hack each other down, and when the deed was done, they showed up to collect the still warm corpses. We are the children of the Nam, blind to our consanguinity, because consanguinity is a word that irritates the tongue of the dejected. A word, by the way, that would have kept the femoral artery of Damilola Taylor intact, instead of releasing that murder that was his lifeline, forcing a 10-year-old boy to pick a cold, concrete stairwell as a final resting place. A stairwell we all knew and we all cursed. We are the children of the Nam, the free school meals, the pupil premium, the SCN, the council estate rejects. We are just a handful of children with liquidated tomorrows, standing amongst many, many others on the assembly line of Tony Blair's legacy. We are the children of the Lam, no longer children, no longer 10 years old, no longer blind, and no longer helpless.
Caleb Oluwafemi. Yeah. It's good here, isn't it? It's good here. Keep it going, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, Michael Clark.
Hello. Just a very, very quick bit of context about this piece. It's about the letters of St. Paul to the Corinthians, which he wrote to try and convert people to the Christian faith. They make up a large portion of the Bible, and he was eventually executed for writing them. So this is about those letters, and it follows the same rhyming and narrative structure as the song Stan by Eminem. I hope you like it. Dear Corinth, I wrote to you but received no reply. I sent you a letter last month and 2 more last July. I just hope this time you remember to write me back. Just like rappers must remember when they're going away, Tupac. But you listen to his ghetto gospel, why not mine? I don't mean to whine here, but we are talking here about the divine. God's just sublime. Do you know he can turn water into wine? He forbids having a shave, but having a slave's just fine. Plus, I hope you get a higher raise, just as long as one prays, but won't stop earthquakes or heartbreak or raids or clashing blades in crusades. And that's just that, man. God works in mysterious ways, sort of like the hedge trimmer of the Windsor Legoland maze. Anyway, I really hope thou gets this letter, man. Hit me back for just a chat, because just remember, God knows all. This is Paul. Dear Corinth, I'm still yet to get any reply from you. Quite frankly, I'm finding your behaviour rather rude. You certainly don't seem to correspond with much swiftness. Getting a reply from you is like getting blood from a Jehovah's Witness. You may think what I say is just a string of oxymorons, but do not be deceived, sir, for I am not a moron. I've got the love of the Lord right deep here inside of me. Oh, which brings me neatly to my next topic, sodomy. Sex of the same sexes is just backwards and insane, and when something's backwards, it simply is not the same. Even though the word sexes is in fact a palindrome and straight and gay love are the same, I'll still continue to moan. Listen, as I lay down these homophobic homophones, gay men are better altar if they're ever to step onto an altar. I also hear one of you's about to have a daughter. You really ought to save her soul. To do so, just add water. Thou hast to write me back. This is your one chance for salvation. Sincerely yours. P.S. Also, no pre-marriage cohabitation. Dear mister, I'm too secular to give a shit about what you say. This will be the last letter I ever send your way. By the will of God, like Snoop Dogg, you'll all be stoned. Like a woman should be by a man, you'll all be well and truly owned. Then at the gates of heaven, where St. Peter is the doorman, he's going to get all up in your grill. Yeah, all up in your George Foreman. He'll break it down for you, just like the Tower of Babel. You try to hide your evil actions, but like Cain, you're just not able. I find an insubordination, your humiliation or God's incarnation. You lack a liberation from temptations, an affirmation of abomination. I hope your denunciation of creation brings a privation of salvation. Hope your negation of revelation is an instigation of your damnation. As I write, I sit here in prison for a 3rd time for a crime I committed more times than my use of internal rhyme. For refusing to stop enforcing the love of Jesus Christ. In seconds, I'll be beheaded and have my righteous head sliced. See you in hell, you bunch of... Ow! Paper cut. Oh, this is the worst pain ever. Oh yeah, nuts. Dear Paul, we here in Corinth are sorry for our late reply, but lately we've had even less time than Marty McFly. Quite frankly, it's been the busiest week since Genesis. Everyone here's still busy, even Dennis is. Now, we'd simply hate to become some form of nemesis or cause a heated reaction like the process of electrolysis, but you say we're all equal when all's said and done, but a priest counts for one whilst a nun counts for none. You say God is selfless and loves every one of his kin, but almost each and every hymn seems to be all about him. It's really nothing personal. Faith is precious, but personal. He who forces faith onto others is the real criminal. That's, for me, real blasphemy, telling others what to believe. Just the other day, because of it, somebody else was aggrieved. He was beheaded just for not giving up his own religious view. Come to think about it, his name was... It was you. Damn. Thank you, guys.
Michael Clark. Woo. All right. How you all doing? You ready for more? Yeah, you're up for it. Take a deep breath. Just clear the air. It's a lot of words. We're hitting you with a lot of words in quick succession. When I say roundhouse, you say slam. Roundhouse? Roundhouse? Please welcome to the stage Letitia Davine Lovelace Hanson.
This poem is called My Deptford, and it is a homage for my home that I've shared with beautiful friends for the past 4 years, and we're all getting to move on in August, so this is for them as well. My Deptford. I carry my brown box roots. Walthamstow, Dagenham, West Yorkshire's Huddersfield, Dalton. Unsettled childhoods wrapped in a dress unknown. I carry my brown box roots. Cricklewood, Finchley, the East, ending in rooms I had to leave. Still, I carry, searching for somewhere. What about Deptford? He interrupts in house hunt negotiation. Deptford, he called. Deptford. My brown box opened. It pulled the word Deptford in. 18th of June 2011, I lay down, unpack my brown box roots. I carry my buoyancy. Wavelengths waver, mid-20 money worry, living in artistically priced poverty, questioning a society that bought then raised me. See me with no fee, kept afloat in high street conversate currency. Purple hair now, aubergine. Oh, you're so sweet, red pepper. Cooking for who? Scallion. My money is well spent. I account change in what you up to's and how's life. Between lands of pound and ice, the green East Asian storekeeper smiles constant. He lights up my entrance to get lost reading different language packet labeling, to get looking underneath, seeing his genuine, warming, unbox-like personality, not A, B, C, prejudged ethnicity. Now, I think back to a pamphlet, creased, handed, I read. March against recent racist attacks in the Chinese, Vietnamese, East Asian community. What are you going to cook with the noodles? March, claim, demand Deptford streets. Fight against an ignorant minority who hide and miss the plot authority. Stir fry. Fight now. These ones are better. Just soak them first, then boil for a minute or two. Thank you. In this place that has grieved, there is a blossoming that breathes directly inside of me. Identity. I carry my younger generation need to create, mold visually a better future out of love and honesty, not family ties, small mind mentality. With a beautiful flat on the creek, Deptford anchored me. I looked out to open allotment spaces, homegrown Sunday hobby memories, partnered with imperfectly painted safety-giving graffiti. There is still love. These beige brushstrokes radiate his eternal love with an everyday squeeze. I carry something beyond stereotypical imagery. I'm a firstborn Brit. Second generation Caribbean, Jamaica visited only in my imagination, but in my Deptford, I am no minority. I exist through a present past majority who gave their lives multiply so I can unbox the roots that bore me. I get it now. I get it now, my Deptford. Why you carry a brown box child wrapped in fully grown neon nails and vintage fashion. You carry in me.
Letitia Devine Lovelace Hanson, ladies and gents. Keep it going. Welcome to the mic, Erin Boland.
Hello. This is my take on nightclubs. I call it umcha umcha. Welcome to the nightclub. Welcome to this bright hub. We've got a really big room and there's beats going boom. There's a pretty sticky floor and a cute at the door where there's bravado and swagger to rival Mick Jagger. There's big hair and false nails and epic fake tan fails. Have you got heels that hurt your heels? Have you skipped your last 2 meals? Have you seen our latest deals? We'll put you on the mailing list. You've no idea what you've missed. Can we see your ID? Mostly out of sympathy. Now enjoy the symphony of beats that lured you off the streets. You give your coat to a man who glares and you climb those sticky stairs, dressed so tight it almost tears. But then you're in. I'll have a double measure of pleasure, please. I'll have a pint of the just what I need, and I'll have another for my brother from another mother I've only just met. I'm just doing this for a bet. Deep breath, no regret. Have you seen my earring? Found it. Another shot. Just down it. So you down it, and you dance, and you watch the peacocks prance, and there is so much feigned romance it makes you nauseous. As we all try to be so gorgeous, and Single Ladies by Beyonce, it's less song, more survey. So they know which way to direct those chat-up lines, the to-chat-up lies. Leopard print suits you. You've got beautiful eyes. It's nothing new, there's no surprise, just a lot of wandering eyes and predatory glances. And no one actually really dances, it's just calculated pose after calculated pose, only interrupted by the adjustment of clothes. Oh, love, I think we grew out of those. So I look around and I see a playground. It's just a playground that got serious when we felt no one was hearing us. But we're still wearing a uniform as we try to outperform each other. Friends or lovers, we're just trying to impress. That's what that hideously uncomfortable dress is for. You leave your personality at the door until your makeup smudges. When someone nudges you in the wrong way, then the worst of you is on display, the full array. And you wonder why you're here at all. God, maybe Cinderella should never have bothered with the ball. And you think of your bed and the banging in your head brings back all your cares, and like first grey hairs, you try and pluck them out, you try and swap that doubt, but you can't pluck every hair. Some remain there whilst you sweat regret as you sit on the steps that are covered in spit and gum. Oh, I shouldn't have come. They said it'd be fun. So you go to the toilet to freshen up, and a woman tries to sell you perfume and a chupa chup. Why do we want to buy sweets in the loo? Is that just one of those things we do? I'd rather not. God, it's hot. Don't buy me another shot. You can call me boring. I know I'm not. I think, all right, one more drink. But then heart sinks as once again we've missed the train. On the way from chip shop to bus stop, my shoes break, so I throw them. I won't mention the night bus because they deserve their own poem. So eventually, after a cup of tea, something more quintessentially me, I'm left questioning clubbing. Because the pounding and the dubbing and the swaying of those hips, it leaves me craving the apocalypse. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Erin Boland. Keep it going for Toby Campion.
Make Leicester British, Channel 4. They're talking about you, Leicester. They're saying you've got too much curry sauce on your fish and chips to taste like home. Saying there are too many colours in your Union Jack for it to be flown full mast. They're saying you ain't British. And you lot can't even get along with your own. They're calling you a broken home, Leicester. Tell them the truth. Tell them how I only made sheep number 2 in our school nativity. But I was cast as Rama in the Diwali play that year, and I was bloody great. Children of all faiths gathered to celebrate the acceptance of light, rejection of hate. Tell them how you raised hungry minds, bellies full on tarka dal, jerk chicken and shepherd's pie. How you took us on school trips to churches, gurdwaras and mosques, but apart from the free food, they were all just buildings to us because people are people. Would sit at home confused, hearing of blacks and whites on the news, thinking, where have the people gone, Leicester? You taught us that. Tell them about the day that bus full of hate rolled up on your doorstep. Those angry men, organized into a pack, a league of defense who only seemed to attack, and yet despite the wrath of those furious men, an entire city stood united against them. Tell them, Leicester, that city, who says it like it is, because they're painting you into a picture which does not exist. One of bandits and beggars and the bad in between, overwhelming our housing, flooding our GPs. Tell them to take a step back and let your truth be seen. It's only our heads that are overcrowded. With headline after headline, day after day, reality TV shows, televised debates, all sides pushing a line over which scapegoats can be made. Power has been gained. Problems with our punch-drunk economy are blamed, but you are the one that stands in their way, Leicester. Because you work. Your cobbled streets bow at the feet of sari shops and bakeries, holding hands, watching masala fireworks sizzling bright, stretching out to kiss the Dales goodnight. Tell them, Leicester, because this is bigger than you. Birmingham, London, Leeds, the rest of this country too. We've forgotten our history. 1915, West Indian people fought for this land to be free. Filled up our factories when we were in need. 1940s, victorious but broken. We turned to hundreds of thousands of Polish men, shipped over by our government for their labor back then. 1950s, our workforce had barely survived. Without South Asian employees, Yorkshire's mills would have died. Empire Windrush, London Transport, NHS. Throughout time, foreign support has cleaned us out of our own mess. So let's not paint ourselves into a picture which does not exist. Because we are a nation who says it like it is. Immigrants helped to build this country. Let that fact be known. If we're looking for someone to blame for this new mess that we're in, let's start looking a little closer to home. Thank you.
Toby Campion. Judges scribbling away, furrowed brows, thinking, how do you judge this? I'm so glad I'm not judging. I'm so glad I just have to go, da-da, because it's so hard, it's so broad, it's so different. Wonderful. Amazing stuff, isn't it? Yeah, amazing. We've got 3 more in this half, so please put your hands together and welcome Maeve Scullion.
Hello. This is basically a poem about the fact that I'm half Gujarati, which is in India, but I can't actually speak Gujarati, which is very embarrassing. So yeah, this is a poem about the fact that it's really embarrassing. I can't speak my language. Oh my god. Okay, so yeah. Whenever I see you again, I end up wanting to say sorry. I end up wanting to say sorry for who I am, for being such a disappointment, for being such a disappointing person. I end up wanting to say sorry for not being a doctor or a nurse or an AIDS worker in Africa. I end up wishing I could apologize for not caring enough in school, for getting depressed, for being mad, for being stupid. I end up wanting to say sorry for my hands because they are not worthy to touch the same air as people who have done so much for others. But I can't because we don't speak the same language. I wish I had Gujarati soaked and woven like rope around my bones. I wish I had beautiful banyan trees flowering in my veins. I wish I could grow wild, sweet fruit which I could offer the mantelpiece as thanksgiving for everything you have done for me, for my whole actual experience on this earth that you slaved away to give me, to give all of us, for my entire existence. I want to be able to pray and sing hymns when people die and have the understanding to know what I'm saying. I want to be able to pay my respects for the head-tilting vowels to tell me the right thing to say. I want to not always say the wrong thing.
I want to be good and pure, and for my words to heal the cracks in the atmosphere that allow black soot to form in the white-shrouded living room with the shrine. Every time I see you again, I end up wanting to say that I'm sorry. I want to say I'm sorry that you lost your husband, our grandfather, after so many years. I want to say sorry for who I am, and I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for what you did for my father. I want to say thank you for letting him back into your arms after the secret baby boy in Wales, my big brother. I want to say thank you for caring more about the love in your belly than the harsh rules of the caste system and the judging faces of white northerners. Preston in the 70s was quite horrible, and I'm really, really sorry. I'm sorry that my dad cried when I was born because I wouldn't be alive unless you had taken him back into your arms. And I'm sorry that I tried so many times to throw that gift back into his face. I'm sorry that the house where he grew up was cold and there was no central heating, and that you and Dada both had to work so hard. I'm sorry that the schools were a joke and that they gave Indian kids colouring books instead of an education. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for everything I have done wrong. And I hope that you can forgive me. And I didn't quite know how to say all of this so that we'd understand each other. So I just made some dal instead. Well, I say made. I cut most of the onions. Okay, thanks.
Maeve Scullion. Keep it going. Keep it going. Turn it up, people. Turn it up. Lily Blacksell.
If anyone has ever sat by you at a house party and subconsciously but shyly cradled your head and swigged your outstretched ginger wine and paused and swigged and paused and said, "We all need someone to carry us home like a pineapple from the market," you would know. It stays with you. It sticks and dribbles in your memory, long outlasting the person who said it, though the awkwardness remains. I recently found myself held aloft, outstretched until he got used to the prickles, and I was giddy and proud of the too good to be truth of it, and pleased as punch or pina colada. But the sweetness turned bitter when I read on Twitter a John Waters quote that trickled into my eyes. I paused and swallowed and paused and read, "If you go home with someone and they don't have any books, don't fuck them." I gasped. But my true love has a library card and an extensive Amazon wish list, both of which I'd like to slap Waters across the face with if he didn't live in Maryland. The coward. And as my true love carried me away triumphant, I would turn and shout, "Annie's halfway through Slaughterhouse 5, just to kick Waters whilst he's down, just to prove to him there ain't no stopping us now. We're halfway home from the market and living on a prayer and job seeker's allowance. The road to my true love's bed is half the length of the country, and his bed is half the size of his room, and his room is half the size of his home, and I can't work out what that amounts to, but it is scribbled with good intentions. Twice the size of his bookshelf is his television, the drug of the nation, where we somehow learnt on some documentary on God knows what channel at 3:30 that pineapples was such a status symbol in 18th century England, you could rent one for the evening to take to a party. And the next day he took me to Greg's. "I love you more than I love myself," he said, and it was my turn to carry us home. Thank you.
Lily Blacksell. Keep it going. One more. Tom Crossland.
Hi, so So this one time, my dog asked me if I knew what death was. He was a little thing at the time, no more than this big. The fur on his body was soft, like silk. Now, I wasn't sure how to respond, but I was 10. A whole year older than 9, I knew everything. So I gave it a shot. I said, you know, behind your eyes, there's you, and outside there's everyone else. And he nodded slowly and replied, no. So I said, you know that bit of you that calls yourself me? And he went, yeah. I said, well, that bit can get detached from the rest of you. Like dreaming, he asks, and I don't know what to say. I'm 10. Now he's this big. I'm 14. I've just been told about heaven, the soul, and all the reasons Richard Dawkins doesn't believe in them. So, in my infinite wisdom, I tell my dog, looking at me with those eyes of his, about how backward people say you have this other bit of you that keeps on going after you're done, but they're silly and wrong. I tell him about enzymes and about neurons and the burgeoning, it's a big word from the New Scientist, the burgeoning field of neuroscience. I tell him about cessation. He looks puzzled and asks me what happens to the bit behind your eyes. Now he's fully grown. The fur on his head is soft, coarse on his back. Again, he puts the question to me. He's verging on 7, and I'm turning 18, and I've been reading a lot, so I say things about time, and about memory, about laughter and tears. He nods a little, like the first time, but now he says, I see. Soon, I will be 22, and he will be 12. The fur on his head is soft. Hair on his haunches keeps his arthritis warm. He looks at me, asks me if I know what death is. I pause for the first time and tell him, I think it's about goodbyes. He nods, looks at me with those eyes, says, yeah. Before he closes them, he asks, now do you understand? Thank you.
Tom Crosslin, ladies and gents. Woo! That's intense. That's an intense little spell. Judges, you're looking a little exhausted. You look like you need to be a little bit revitalized. How you doing? You all right? You got your scores? You know what you've done? You made your notes? Yeah, alrighty. So we're going to finish this half shortly. We thought maybe we'd introduce you in a slightly more poetic way to our judges. We're going to hear a poem from one of our judges to end this half, and the other two at the end of the other half. So please, to finish this half of the show, please put your hands together and welcome Mr. Dan Cockrill.
Red balloon, float to the moon. I'm a loon, a loony tune, a lunar star. I'm way over par. I'm a D-cup boob in an A-cup bra. So I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that Ollie Murs has let himself go. Or some of you are thinking that Mark Owen has let himself go. Or some of you are actually thinking that Chaz and Dave have let themselves go. Anyway, thank you for coming along. It's been marvellous being here. I'm going to read you a poem. It's about my twin boys. They're 2.5, and I wrote it for them, but I also wrote it for that little vulnerable person inside of us all. Some of us, or some people, have forgotten it's there, so this is kind of a reminder for them. I sit them on a wall, 2 boys, outside my house, facing the busy street, backs pressed against my chest. The sensation is the closest thing I know to magic. A lone man walks past. They point, smile, and wave. Hello. The lone man smiles and waves back, an action I'm not sure he would usually do. Bye-bye, they say, and wave. Bye-bye. A mother and a little girl walk past. 2 boys, backs pressed tightly against my chest. They point, smile, and wave. Hello. The mother and the little girl smile and wave back. Look, 2 babies, says the little girl. Bye-bye, they say, and wave. Bye-bye. A group of boys with baggy uniform and a headphone limp walk past. 2 boys, backs pressed tightly against my chest. They point, smile, and wave. Hello. The group smile and wave back. Them cute. Bye-bye, they say, and wave. Bye-bye. A white van man with tattoos on his neck and face drives past. 2 boys, backs pressed tightly against my chest. They point, smile, and wave. Hello. The white van man smiles and waves back and lets out a cheer from his open window. Bye-bye, they say, and wave. Bye-bye. The single-decker bus drives past. 2 boys, backs pressed tightly against my chest. They point, smile, and wave. Hello. The bus driver smiles and waves back. The bus stops in traffic. The 2 boys point, smile, and wave to all the passengers on the bus. Hello. Soon, everybody is smiling and waving. The whole bus is smiling and waving. Everybody that walks past is smiling and waving. And in that moment, I tried to remember why we stopped pointing and smiling and waving. And I think it's because we're told pointing is rude. So we stopped pointing and we stopped staring and looking at each other. And we stopped smiling and waving and communicating. And we become sad. And in that moment, I become sad. Imagine if my arms were empty. Thank you very much.
Mr. Daniel Cockrill, ladies and gents. Beautiful. Beautiful. A beautiful way to usher you out to the bar, to get a drink, to have a cigarette, do whatever you need to do. We're going to take 20 minutes and then we'll be right back here for the second half. Thank you.
Parallel to the piece of me I lost within my mind. I'm closing my door. Now, just in the head. How this place is like a conveyor belt, round and round and around my head, and it won't stop there. I know it's okay to be alone. I choose what to ignore. All I hear is your different voices. I won't accept it anymore. Now, there's no room impossibly. You're unsure of who you are, yet I'm so sure of who I want to be. Living this as reality. I told you this is what it would come to be. I have a choice. The rules they apply to me. I'm one you will come to see. So I peel this paper that right now falls. Shaking my head, still become a cloud. And figured out the way I've been eventually I too much to be so in awe of someone's self-righteousness. I'm done. I thought the games were fun, and I don't need no one to shape who I become. I know it's okay to be alone. I choose what to ignore. All I hear is your different voices. I won't accept it anymore. There's no move impassively. Unsure of who you are, yet I'm so sure of who I want to be. Dealing with this as reality. I told you this is what it would come to be. I have a choice. The rules they apply to me. I'm not the one you will come to see. I serve the Judy's eye. Been here, arms open, misconception of all my intentions. Why harvest emotion? I have a road to walk, no time for your burdens. I'd rather be by myself. When I choose what to ignore, all I hear is your different voices. I won't accept it anymore. Now, there's no move impassively. You're unsure of who you are, yet I'm so sure of who I want to be. Dealing with this as reality. I told you this is what it would come to be. I have a choice. Rules they apply to me. I'm not the one you will come to see.
I see you from afar, and I need to say hey. My mind's fixed on you. I don't know what to say. Do I walk up to you and tell you how much I care? Or do I stay here and wish that I was standing there? If he knew my name, if he knew my name. My face is turning red and I feel so low. Just thinking of your touch is turning me on.
see all the gold in all the world compared to what I see. I stand out by the edge of the ocean and I look out at sea. I can feel it, something deep inside of me when I look out to the sky. Oh, I wonder why it's calling me. I set out tonight. I'm going out to sea till it gets better. Gonna ride the waves now or never. Gonna make my way into forever. I sail until the world ends. I'm gonna ride the tide. I'm coming to get you. Wanna ride or die, then not gonna let
welcome back. Hey! Are you all suitably refreshed, replenished? Yes, yes, question, answer, question, answer. Welcome back. What a treat of a first half, and we have even more. Kind of, the stakes are high now. The stakes are high. We kind of had the first pieces all kind of hanging on the second. They've all got their kind of marks that they've made, their kind of little notes to themselves. They've got an idea. They're not telling each other who they think. It's all quite secretive backstage. They're kept in secure, locked units. not allowed to talk to each other. So just to give you a kind of sense of how this has all come together, there were 136 people applied to kind of take part in this, and then that was whittled down to 30 people over 2 heats, and then from each of those heats 6 people were taken, and so that's how we've got this 12 here now. So I think just standing on stage right now is a huge achievement for these guys already, right? It's a big deal. It's a big deal. And just to give you a sense of what they're competing for, other than the prestige of being the winner, which is obviously what they're aiming for, as well as just being part of this incredible event. 2 friends of the Roundhouse, Colin and Helen David, have donated prize money for this competition, and so the first prize winner will get 500 quid. Yeah. The second prize winner will get 200 quid. And the third prize winner will get 100 quid. None of that to be sniffed at. So, the stakes are high. That's big money. That's like a year's salary for a poet. Get used to it, my friends. Think carefully before heading forwards. So as well as you wonderful people here tonight, this is also being live streamed. So hello, wherever you are, people in the ether watching us from the comfort of your own homes or around your mate's house or down the pub. I expect it's being beamed to all the local pubs. It's like the World Cup. Well, better, and less lager being spilled over each other, I imagine. So are we ready for a little bit more? Yeah! So we're going to hear all these guys again, but in a completely different order. We're going to start with Letitia Davine Lovelace Hanson, and to welcome her to the stage, I'd like you to just clap and then turn it up and add in some whooping and some hollering for Letitia!
This poem is for my friend Emily, and it is for everyone here who's felt silence. What would happen if silence, a small thing made of hearts and limbs, found its voice? Would it hang forever formed in hushed minutes, then carry itself to step on scales its emptiness could never be measured in? Or would silence speak gently to the brave bird whose wings like family secrets hurt got them clipped? Tell it jokes it wished it did not know? Or would silence speak of flowers kept alive in graveyards, left by deadened loved ones who survive each visit by hearing what is too deafening? Of children who play hide underneath the table when they can't make a rule for their mother's screams into a fun new game? Of kisses their unmatched eyes wish to fuck away in between naked hellos and fully clothed goodbyes, biting their lips, not daring to say, stay? Or would silence tell the bird all it sees, following shadows of people walking past lingering trees onto imperfect paving stones placed over their dreams? Would silence tell the bird all it feels, gripping, clinging, trying to breathe life into lungs of the young who are drowning on, "You are not good enough to be here, son"? Would silence tell the bird all it hears, gathering cries of families it cannot run from, knowing this sound too well as the ones buried under bombs, blasts, and history's apathetic tongue? Would silence tell the bird all it smells? Watching a beautiful grandmother's waist last air on MRSA and children who do not say, "It will be okay," until her body, like her hope, has rotten away. Would silence tell the bird all it tastes, chewing salty tears of the final forkfuls with fried bacon and scrambled honey eggs with the beautiful man death row buried breakfast in? No. No. It would simply sit beside the brave bird whose wings like family secrets hurt got them clipped and ask, "Bird, can you teach me how to sing?"
Letitia Davine Lovelace Hanson. Keep it going, ladies and gents. Keep it going, and welcome back to the stage, Erin Boland.
His clothes were bright, like a rainbow had spilt on them. My mum made a quilt of them, and I sewed a little gilt in them because they embarrassed me. They colourfully surpassed me, they unfashionably harassed me. At 10, I simply couldn't see any beauty in the rebellion that was wearing 50 shades of vermilion. But now, I see my jeans in those stripy jeans, the ones that have been cut at the seams and made into patchwork. And I see how the mismatch worked because somehow he wowed in them, made more than a shroud of them, and I wish that I'd been proud of them. But then again, I was 10. We buried him in tie-dye and then watched time fly by, and on that quilt I'd lie and grow fonder of those patterns. And I guess that's just what happens, because now the mismatched work of that stitched patchwork makes me so glad, because a different quilt made from different clothes would have meant a different dad. But since then, life has made a time machine, and it brought me to now, and there is a different Clean. It's sort of like then, but more touchscreen. And if my dad came back from the dead, hypothetically, I wonder pathetically, theoretically, he might not even fit in. Phones were then an accessory, not a necessity, and he wouldn't know the hype. He'd never heard of Skype or HD or On Demand. A decade has updated the land he knew. Who knew we could move so fast? And I feel like this middleman. I can almost see where it all began, but I'll soon be left behind. I genuinely thought Spotify was a face cream. I thought windows were what we used to daydream when clouds were just gases in the sky and not prefixed by I. And it's fine to move fast, but don't judge the past because it brought us here. It's the transportation that created this nation whose biggest fear is an empty hand, nothing to hold or rely on, no one to update or subtly spy on, with no one to tell, except the man in the street, or her in the next seat, with a phone that's smarter than its owner. Maybe one day it'll own her and then loan her back to herself. But these people don't know you. They don't know about your patchwork dad or about that really quite strange dream you had. They don't know your birthplace or that you have no faith, that your birthday's in December or that you played online Scrabble in November with Gary. Who is Gary? By the way, I mean day to day, because he writes on your wall, but can you give him a call? Hypothetically, I digress theoretically and then wonder pathetically, if my dad heard all this, would it baffle him? Would it technologically unravel him? Or would he be an iDad on his new iPad, a man all in patchwork trying to make apps work? If he came back, there is so much I'd want to show him. A lot more than I can sew into this patchwork poem. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Erin Boland. Keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. And welcome back, Toby Campion.
This is for my mum and dad. In the last few months, she started to cut her husband's hair when the mob in his blood had lynched his health and sentenced his body to stop. Now the nurses, they thought they did a better job. Because from time to time, she'd miss a little spot. They'd tell her, put down the scissors. We do this a lot. But she would snap her scissors and cut a line through the air, which they were not to cross, only she cut his hair. So one day I asked her, why not let someone else have a try? Why not take him to the salon, get your nails done? In the meantime, she said, what's wrong with my nails? I said, nothing. But why must you alone cut his hair? And she told me because I can't do a lot. I can't bring down that thing that burdens him, that unfair thing that multiplies beneath his own skin, that dictates what he can eat and say and remember. I can't unplaster the propaganda from his veins, that fascist thing that weighs down his limbs. I would if I could, but I can't. Bring it to its knees as it has done him. Push it out to sea as it has done him. I would if I could, but I can't keep him from sinking. I've tried for so long now. I read all the right books, cooked all the right meals. I gave him the pills and the life jackets, the morphine patches, the prayers. I made A call the doctor a fool when she told us this was it. That books and food were of no use now, looking me down like I was lost at sea, but I'm not. And he is not. He's not a ship. He's not a metaphor. He is a man who promised himself grey to me. He promised me white hair and wrinkles and arthritis, for God's sake. Promised me Sunday mornings talking over papers about the things we'd done and the children we'd raised and how the country has gone to the dogs yet again. He promised me a lifetime. And now they're telling me he can't keep his word. That decades have rotted into weeks. That half of me has decayed into grief. That I'll visit once a month on a Sunday with nothing but fresh flowers and tears to talk over. And I can't do anything to stop that. I can't do anything to stop that. But I can cut his hair. His wall of hair that stood so strong when we first met. Strong enough to withstand me and mortgage repayments. It survived the first round of chemo, but the second time it fell down. Weak from fighting for democracy, and when they told him that he had lost, you see his hair began to grow back, and when it did, it was white, just like he'd promised. All of the things that he'd promised, the future, the retirement, the grey now sit on top of his head, and so now I cut his hair. He tells me how he wants it, and I know people don't think it looks very good, but he tells me I've done a great job, and I can have that. We can make our small bit of future look how we want it to, and we can have that. Thank you.
Toby Campion, ladies and gents. Yeah. You know, aside from the prizes and the bright lights and the relative glamour for us poets standing on big stages like this, because believe me, the average poetry gig is about half the size of this stage, let alone talking to all you wonderful, beautiful people. But it's about the truth, isn't it? That's so brave. That's so brave to stand up and share that in front of however many, 500-600 people. Give the man a round of applause. And please keep that going and welcome the next man to the mic, Mr. Tom Crossland.
So, did anybody else notice that the sky sounded a bit loud today? No? I did, and I'm British, so I wrote a letter. Dear Sky, please keep it down. Yours sincerely. But then I got curious, so I wrote another letter. Dear Sky, where's my invitation? I got no response, but a thought struck me. Dear Sky, do you show everyone the same blue? Dear Sky, will you introduce me to the moon? Her face looks like it's got some stories to tell, and I want in by that celestial fireside telling ghost stories about the dark side of everything, and still no response. Dear Sky, I miss you. Dear Sky, who made you so big? Can I have some? Dear Sky, play that tune again. The one from 3 a.m. to the sound of foghorns. The one from that rainy afternoon to the sound of elegance. Play the one about dawn again, will you? Play it over and over. It's a favorite. You keep on doing that. Play the one about Icarus. Tell it like you used to. Dear Sky, Icarus didn't deserve what he got. Dear Sky, I stumbled home with the drunken soliloquy of night still ringing in my ears. There was so much of it. Where did it all go, dear sky? It's like you go on forever. You're just too big, you're too bright. Dear sky, what the hell can I do when you're just always sitting there staring down at me with that blue? How can I go on when you make me feel so small, so brittle, so lackluster against sunsets and raindrops and clouds and lightning brightening the sky? Dear sky, you make me feel like Icarus, flying up not to escape, just to give a fuck you to the sun. I'd say it won't kill me, but it will. My life's work. So come on, burn my wings, melt the wax. I know you'll love me on the way down. It'll be my Icarian remedy for manhood, yours resentfully. And still no word, no envelopes, empty letterboxes and cloudless skies. Dear sky, where have all the flowers gone? Young girls haven't been picking them lately. This guy, come take a walk with me. I'm having to search through my bedclothes, you know, looking for that sleep I've been losing, just so I don't have to look at you. This guy, Icarus didn't deserve what he got. He only wanted to see you clearer. Why couldn't he love you safely? So go on then, cast me out. I know you'll love me on the way down. My life's work. I remain yours. Thank you.
Tom Crossland. Taking us widescreen there, taking us widescreen, going panning right out. Keep it going, ladies and gents, and welcome to the stage, Maeve Scullion.
Hiya again. So this is basically about when you keep seeing someone in the library and it's really awkward because like you don't want to see them and you're like, no. Okay, so this is it. There's this boy I keep seeing in the library. We call him the library boy. I met him at a drag queen ball at the Students' Union. I'm pretty sure he was the only heterosexual male there, and I got him on lockdown. He came back to my house and I said I didn't really know anything about Harry Potter. I'm pretty sure I knew more than him. He kept ignoring me whenever we'd walk past each other on the stairwells, and his disdainful eyes were making it hard to write essays about feminist theatre. Half of me thought, oh my God, whatever. And the other half of me thought, I wish I was still thin. The other half of me thought, I wish I'd put a lemon in my mouth. I wish I'd put a lemon in my mouth and squeezed the peel between my teeth when words became too difficult and dangerous to say, when food became too difficult and dangerous to eat. I wish the strips of zesty, sinuous architecture and harsh juice within blocking up my throat cavity had kept my silence pure and perfect, my sobriety whole, sidestepping the effects of tequila and gin to nevertheless see things clearly, my body thin and malnourished, the acid in the fruit dissolving my throat. I wish all the round, melting, sweet, rich words which would get me in so much trouble had never fallen out of my mouth. I wish they'd evaporated like the air in my tears, those tears that stream helplessly down hollowed out, streaked, pale cheeks when you can't breathe, when your jaw is forced open. I want my hair to be blonde. I want my clothes to hang off me because my bones are so stripped. I want men to look at me in the street and want to own me, to treat me like an expensive object one you can't outright mistreat because there's nothing else on offer. You're either a prized object or a worthless object. That's it. I want my feelings to be a secret temple, somewhere I can trick people into visiting, but never somewhere they can trespass or outstay their welcome. I don't want to overdose alone. I want someone to see me and save me, to throw me over their shoulder and take me to the hospital with the full force of their will and the tires of their car. I want someone to care if I die. I want to be valuable enough in the eyes of outside for that to matter. I eat London like a peach. I eat London so much it makes me sick. It makes my body too soft, too heavy, too full, too rich, too much to handle. I wish I'd kept a lemon in my mouth my whole life, just like everybody else who's allowed to smile, because we aren't allowed. It's too frightening to know, to see a woman who can't be controlled. It's terrifying. It's like a horror film when those creepy China dolls come to life and try and kill you. We will end this world which breaks us down, urges us to live in a constant state of repair. That's not my life. It's not ours, and it never will be. After the 4th time he ignored me, I sent him a Facebook message that said, "Do you always look horrified when you realize you come within 3 feet of someone who's not a blonde, skinny, white girl?" It was a bit of a crazy, clingy thing to do, but it felt absolutely brilliant. Thank you.
Maeve Scullion. I just want to draw your attention to these fine humans over here who do such an exceptional job. Like, to translate poetry takes a long time. To do it in the moment is extraordinary. Keep the applause going. Pull it back away from these wonderful interpreters and pull it back to the mic and welcome Lily Blacksell.
One of my all-time favorite poems is "I Carry Your Heart With Me, I Carry It In" by the American poet E.E. Cummings. So this poem is partly for him, but mostly for a very new member of my family. I carry your heart with me because your spine is the length of my hand, from middle fingertip to the base of my palm. Just after you were born, in a children's bookshop, I saw someone had put that poem to pictures, and I bought it as fast as I could. And we got to the hospital when the news had got good, and blame it on emotion, but standing by your incubator, all I could think of in an in-my-head whisper was, E.E. Cummings round the mountain when he comes. E.E. Cummings round the mountain when he comes. E.E. Cummings round the mountain, Cummings round the mountain, Cummings round the mountain. When you came into the world, you took the words out of my mouth, so I am taking another poet's words in turn. And now that book is in your nursery, and I hope it is one of the first to be, and I hope that song is one that you will learn. Because like she came round the mountain, you arrived on your own terms. You'd have stolen Charlotte's thunder had you been on time. And whilst we are none of us royalists, politeness runs in our blood, and the whirlwind of your birth was storm enough. But we caught up in the end. I reached out for some reason, and my hand gave some perspective to your tininess, which lay just beyond belief. Your cabinet presentation, animate preciousness, resembled a museum piece far too much to touch. Exhibit O for Otto. So I upheld the art gallery aesthetic and held my hands behind my back and held your heart there too. The monitor showed it was going strong. After verse 7 of E.E. Cummings round the mountain, I switched to an out-of-my-head whisper. Hello, I repeated, with a slight step back so my tears hit the floor and not you, not your blankets, your remarkable skin, your mother's cheeks, your father's chin. Cummings ends the poem with the root of the root and the bud of the bud of a tree of life, which stands for love, I think, and grows not all that far from our family tree, I think. But as we climb it, I just find it so precarious. And besides, I am terrified of heights, my own excluded. Although today it seems the splinters are pointing the right way, and I am climbing it one-handed, despite the height remaining calm, so I can carry your heart with me between my fingertip and palm. Thank you.
Lily Blacksell. Judges, look at them, look at them, look at that. That's a move, that's a judge move. Dan's head down, kind of furrowed brow, one finger, a knuckle against the forehead. That's how much concentration is going on. Are you cool? We all right? We move on? Yep, slightly 1,000-yard stare. Yeah, I think so. Please put your hands together and welcome Natalie Steinhout.
Are you sitting comfortably? Yeah. Okay, then I'll begin. The sun was pouring in as Nigel sat upright in bed. He got out, grabbed his cane and placed his hat upon his head. He walked out of the flat and let the door swing shut behind him, and the clunk of the door's self-locking lock did then remind him that he'd lost his set of keys and did not know where he could find them. He saw a boy, perhaps he'd know, and said, "How do you do?" But the young man looked unnerved and said, "Mate, who the fuck are you?" Oh dear, thought Nigel. Change of plan, he got upon a train to Rayner's Lane. It sped up and slowed and stopped, sped up, slowed, stopped. A light here for Exhibition Road. He got out and saw a young woman sitting with bright green eyes, first muttering something to herself, then beginning to sing. All the buildings are grey in my hometown. You've nowhere to go in my hometown. Whether in rain or snow, unless you can pay. But you still never know in my hometown. Her green eyes glittered in the sun and settled one by one onto Nigel's face. His shoulders stiffened as he broke the green-eyed stare and broke into a half-run north to Royal Oak and from there to Westbourne Park, while the sky got a bit darker, turning the buildings a bit greyer. And as a thin film of rain gently fell, Nigel turned onto the canal with its layer of green grime and litter. And on the other side of a bend in the wide path, he saw, somehow, the woman's green eyes, a green as rich as emeralds fit for a king, staring, while with her low voice she began once more to sing. The rain's falling slow in my hometown. It will soon turn to snow in my hometown. But soon you will know, for unless you can pay, you've nowhere to stay in my hometown. And as Nigel approached Little Venice, he couldn't shake off this pair of green eyes, like the glare of green headlights. And as the rain fell harder and hit his hat like hail, and he quickened his pace up through Maida Vale, Nigel didn't fail to notice the pairs of green eyes staring from the cracks in the wall, green eyes rustling in the branches of the overhanging trees, green eyes too on the green birds in the great big cage at London Zoo, and worst of all, a canal boat painted green with a meticulously painted eye and the name Green Eyes. Well, that was just ridiculous. And he practically ran through Camden, well, as much as he can, as he weaved around people slowly competing for the worst possible place to stand. And then he sprang up the stairs at King's Cross. It was dark now and cold. His hair stood up and his knees wobbled with fatigue because of how far he'd been, but his keys, he feared, were nowhere to be seen. He peered into the station, watching tickets drop impatiently from 3 ticket machines in a row, and being picked up, but where would he go? It was too dark to see behind him now, so he could only sense himself being near her, and in the quiet outside of the sounds of the station, he could clearly hear her. So you now dare not go from my hometown, so you now have to stay in my hometown. So you wait and you pray that someday this is somewhere you'll know as your hometown. The dark seemed to be blowing him around like winds at sea, and his knees caved in. And as he sat down hard on the paved ground, on the brink of panic or sleep, there was a metallic clink from his jacket. He fished around deep through a hole in his pocket lining and jangled his found keys with joy as green eyes watched in the dark. And beside the parked cars, he marched along the road, then 2 by 2 up all the stairs, and turned the key whilst musing he should get a pair of spares. He put his cane down, then he took his hat off from his head. Then happily and wearily, he clambered into bed. The end.
Natalie Steinhaus. Keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. And welcome, Charlotte Higgins.
This poem is composed entirely of things that come up when you start to type a phrase into Google. Yeah. Autocomplete. God is dead. God is love. God is not dead. God is an astronaut. I am learning. I am legend. I am Groot. I am feeling lucky. Are olives good for you? Are 0300 numbers free? Are ghosts real? Are mermaids real? Are vampires real? Are you there? How will we evolve? How will we defeat ISIS? How will we recognize the Antichrist? How will we love? Does anyone really know what time it is? Does anyone still use MySpace? Does anyone survive Ebola? Does anyone actually live in Greenland? Love is strange. Love is kind. Love is patient. Love is an open door. Is love real? Is love at first sight? Is love enough? Why is he ignoring me? Why is he avoiding me? Why is he not texting me back? Why is she ignoring me? Why is she avoiding me? Why is she wearing leggings? Should I stay or should I go? Brackets, lyrics. Should I update to iOS 8? Should I text him? Should I get a flu shot? Should one get married? Should one tip for takeout? Should one always tell the truth? Should one invest in gold? Are we done yet? Are we officially dating? Are we going to war? Are we there yet? What do we think of Tottenham? What do we say to the god of death? What do we do with a drunken sailor? What do we mean to each other? What do contractions feel like? What do dreams mean? What do hedgehogs eat? What do they know? What are carbs? What are prime numbers? What are the 10 Commandments? What are your weaknesses? What are we looking for? What are we looking for? What are we looking for? Thank you.
Charlotte Higgins, ladies and gents. Poetry of our time. That sounds like too many late nights of my own sitting there wondering. Amazing, lovely, lovely, lovely. Let's keep it going. We've got 4 more. Georgie Jones, ladies and gents. Georgie Jones!
In the beginning, it was nice. Better than nice, it was lovely. With your hand on the small of my back, we innocently ambled through our first summer, taking detours through the spinney behind the park, until the day turned to dusk and the sky went dark, when we'd lie amongst the wheat grain, looking at the stars, getting tickled and softly scratched by leaves dried out in the summer sun. Sunday afternoons, we'd race each other to the orchard at the back of the woods, clamber up apple trees in search of branches to nestle between, where we'd scrape knees through mouthfuls of apple. We'd dream up fairy tale fantasies about the future. We'd share dreams and aspirations, like how I'd become famous and you'd create animations. Then we'd crystallize our wishes with kisses on dusty coppers from dusty pockets and toss them in the river on our way home, and that was nice. Better than nice, it was lovely. I remember how we woke from such wonderful slumbers, where we dreamed dreams homegrown from unencumbered love stories. I lost count of weekends spent in between gingham-coloured picnics and makeshift tents, where we'd let grass-stained bodies race each other to the bottom of the hill, chase after daydreams until we ran out of steam. It was lovely. Lazy afternoons blurred into evenings as we took the bus to your house. Accidentally forgetting about schoolwork, naive minds preoccupied themselves with kissing and touching and hands caressing skin. At first it was nice, but it was never quite lovely. As you blew your candy floss breath down my neck, I whispered uncertainties into your ear. I was nervous, and with that my words lost all purpose. Between sharp intakes of breath, my train of thought derailed. Somewhere between my brain and my throat, my words caught and jumbled, spilling from my mouth in a messed up mumble while you fumbled with parts of me you didn't know how to touch. You're concentrating on navigating your large hands around my body, instigating your sexual awakening, so maybe you don't quite hear me when I'm asking you to stop. I'm asking you to stop. But your fingers are playing with the hem of my dress, and as you lift it to my waist, I think that maybe no means yes, because you want to. Because you want me. And I don't know how I'm supposed to feel. So I close my eyes, and I count to 3. And when I open them again, I watch my grass-stained knees climb my body to the top of the apple tree where I see our daydreams float on by. Eyes wide open. Pluck a copper from my pocket, make a wish, toss the coin in the river, and I wait for this to stop.
Georgie Jones, ladies and gents. Take a deep breath. Clear the air. We move on. Georgie, that was brave. Put your hands together for Jaden Larkin. Ladies and gentlemen, Jaden Larkin!
The day you were born, the moon beamed down from the heavens in all her glory like she was visiting this planet just for you. I swear, you could hear the whole forest singing sensational symphonies, sending soaring synchronicity, shooting skyward, sliding into subtlety, until the melody adorned the very stars. To call you little brother was an understatement. You were a physical manifestation of my love in this tiny little body bursting with potential. Every time you smiled was like the moon returning after a lunar eclipse. And though you shot it from a sapling offshoot from our family tree before our very eyes, you never quite grew up as you were meant to. Where most of us gain more common sense, you simply gain more childlike innocence and wonder. No wonder you made so many friends. It proved impossible not to love you, even though at times you proved to be, well, a bit of an idiot. Many still remember that stray cat you wanted to stroke because it was cute, even though it was clearly a skunk. Mate, you stunk. For what must have been a month, we couldn't shake that stink off. You just laughed and maintained it was cute. There was never a moment spent with you that I didn't enjoy. No, to be totally honest, there were many moments with you that I didn't enjoy. Like the incessant chitter-chatter as you'd noisily natter on and on at the most unnecessary of times, like when I was trying to sleep or talk to a girl who, after explaining to them who you were, would want to talk to you instead. But now, I'll gladly give all the luminous spheres of plasma in the universe just to get one more of those starlit moments back. When you were 10, you told me you decided what you wanted to be, an astronaut. And when I laughed and asked why, I didn't expect your reply to almost knock me into the stratosphere. You said it was because you wanted to visit the stars and ask them what they shone for, and why they continue to shine so bright. Every night you spent in search of what you should shine for. You were the only one I ever met who dreamt of shattering the limits of the planet just to discover your purpose on it. I can still remember the day they came. I can still remember what they smelt like. I can still hear the ravenous revenue cackling chainsaws in my ears when I close my eyes. Still feel the burning anguish scorching my throat as I was forced to watch him cut down in his prime. And when he finally fell, even though everyone was around to hear it, he didn't give him the satisfaction of making a sound.
Jaden Larker, ladies and gents. Yeah, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up. And welcome to the stage, Michael Clark.
Hello. This is a piece about how I learned to spell. Spelling is important. It was my mum who taught me how to S-P-E-L-L. If you don't understand something, simply B-R-E-A-K it down, then pull it from the ether and put it back T-O-G, ether. For example, astronomers. There's an M, two O's, N-S-T-A-R-E-R-S. Moon starers. Or evangelist. Evil's agent. Now, I can spell single-handed. I'm not ambidextrous. I've got more spells than a witch. Witch? I mean W-I-T-C-H, not W-H-I-C-H. That's witch. How do you spell phonetically? As it sounds, bitch, it's true. Words can get the best or bring out the best in you. They can lead you to manic, satanic, tyrannic panic, leave you tongue titanic, but they'll lead you to grow like a botanic, organic, volcanic, post-Berlin Wall, East Germanic. It's not hard. It's like quantum mechanics. My mum taught me you need to break something down and P-U-T it back together to understand. You're confused. Let's break this down. A mother buys a Lego Hogwarts castle for her son's 10th Christmas. If the boy has 3 2x2 blocks of Lego, he needs 1 2x6 block to hold them together, tight. And so Expelliarmus, Hermione had a bed for the night, just break it down. The boy's mum and dad loved this game, spelling words around the table, always the same about some B-A-S-T-A-R-D desk clerk at work called Kirk with a smirk that would lurk and irk. Oh, he's driving me berserk, the F-U-C-K-I-N-G Burke. Eat your peas. Spelling out words with ease about the birds or the bees or verbs of bees or nouns of C's. Mind your P's and Q's, please, always the same. Hear back from the H-O-S-P-I-T-A-L. This won't refreeze. We cover your mouth when you sneeze, always the same. We won't know until the O-P-E-R-A-T-I-O-N. May I get down from the table, please? You're wrong. Always the same. How long? Always the same. D-Y-I-N-G. She must have not understood what those words meant. It was my mum who taught me how to S-P-L-E-L. Just B-R-E-A-K it down and put it B-A-K-C. No, that's R-O-N-G. You see, it can be very hard and dismissing when a piece goes missing. A bad spell. With no big block to hold them together, the little blocks are just left there, floating askew. For the purposes of rhyme, imagery, and alliteration, let's say the blocks are blue. But you can never understand how something fits without it ever being in bits. Now, the boy tries to rebuild these castle fables and kitchen tables wherever able with his magic spells. He still has his favourite times around the table. He still has his favourite times table, 10, obviously. To make sure his self-indulgence doesn't worsen, he often writes these words in third person, because words are about far more than looking clever or funny or smart. They can lift things you didn't know were there from your head or your heart. They can trap meaning and make beautiful art. They can put you back together after pulling you apart. They really can surprise you! but it is hard to understand sometimes. The truth's easier to see once it rhymes. Spelling is important. Thank you.
Michael Clark. We have one more, people. One more in this round before it's Judgment Day. It's Judgment Day. When I say roundhouse, you say slam. Roundhouse? Roundhouse? Please put your hands together and welcome one more time, Caleb Oluwafemi.
So there's a film called Beast of the Southern Wild. Has anyone heard of it? It's brilliant. It's brilliant. If you haven't, watch it at home legally. There's a bit of homework for you. Of bathtubs and hush puppies, of all the things that should have broke this skin, of beatings from parents, of nighttime rain and slippery shoes, of knives, finding homes in the lower of this back, of bullets asking questions that burn, of lying in a crashed car flipped upside down, of the Lord's Prayer, of the Shahada, of the Vidui, of the prayers made by each person in the car asking their God to intervene and somehow keep us alive, of Section 18s, of blue lights and forceful entries, of homes gutted from the inside like fish at Billingsgate Market, of mothers rebuilding homes from rubble, rebuilding sons from vacuum cleaner dust, of trying to find room to sellotape memories of laughter where memories of trauma have monopolized, of Rolling Stones conceived of stony homes, roaming alone in thunderstorms. You see, these waters could not break these stony islands. That's why we wore those clothes. Of being taught that dignity is a piece of meat that hungry dogs fight to the death for, of unlearning their lies and my own, of violence, not the physical, but the one that stems from being scared of not belonging, that gave birth to our music, grime music, of roadside G's, of South Soldiers, BBK, Roll Deep, Rough Squad, Nasty Crew, PDC, SM1, of Friday Night Youth Club shutting down, leaving us no choice but to build refugee camps on estate stairwells, of one piece chicken and chips smearing the burger sauce and ketchup, thinking how much it looks like a stab wound, of getting Tina pregnant the first time we ever did it, of the threats made by Tina's mum when she found out, promising to cook my balls like she does her curry goat, of walking through the other side of the city, realizing they don't live like us, of no longer seeing my area as a place that I love, but a place that I pity, of suffering and smiling, of black tears filled with melanin, cliff diving from cheekbones, some would swear as mascara tears, of explaining that my soul is made up of onyx, so in fact these are soul tears, of all the writers, musicians, dancers, painters that refuse to implode politely, of all the people who speak poetry every day without even realizing it. You are the unsung crusaders. Of all the little pieces that have made me into this man that stands here before you, this hybrid of plants and of ghosts. Good night, Glastonbury.
Caleb Oluwafemi. Yeah. Yeah. Well, goodness me. I'm so glad that I'm just doing this bit and I'm not doing that bit. I wouldn't want to have to choose between these guys. There's so much good stuff tonight. They're kind of scribbling away, making their final notes. What's going to happen is once they've finished making their notes and putting their final scores down there, they're going to hand them over to a very important person who's going to go and add them up. And while they're being added up and the last few things are being put together, we're going to have a little performance from the other two of our judges. You can see by the look on Talia's face, it was a kind of a... The weight of responsibility is a big thing. There's so many styles. That's the wonderful thing. It's a really interesting time for spoken word. The fact that we're all here in the main space at the Roundhouse with 600 people watching these guys doing poetry is extraordinary. That's quite new. We've had times of it before, kind of peppered over the decades, but this is a big thing, and there are so many voices coming into the pot. How do you judge one against the other? It's a little crazy. I'm not sure I'd want to do it. They're looking pleased with themselves now. Look, relaxed. Done. Can we give our judges a round of applause, ladies and gents? So, you good? You good? Wonderful, wonderful. So we're going to hear a couple of poems from our remaining judges. You heard from Mr. Cockrill before the break. We're going to hear from, Jesus, I've got to get it right. Xabiso Vili, all the way from Johannesburg. Please welcome Xabiso Vili.
Thank you for having me. You guys were amazing. Thank you so much for blessing us so much. Thank you for being a great audience. Thank you, London, for having us South Africans and Lebanese people and Welsh people for the talking doorsteps. Yeah, I hear ya. This is a slightly longish piece, and I'll go through it quickly. It's called War Torn. My father fights so many wars. His hands have turned into guns. His arms have turned into guns. He can't hold my mother anymore. She made of porcelain, nor can he his sons. We too like our mother. I have her pulse, but my father's heart I break. Everything in sight I break. Everything I touch I break. For I too am this pulse, am this shattering, am this target, targeting self. My father bleeds bullets, the type of blood that's learned to fight back. These bruises I have for fists must be hereditary. I keep swinging at the air because everything scares me, or even worse, nothing does. I've learned how to crack the wind. It must be made of porcelain. I've learned how to crack. The wind never breaks. It must be a mirror. These mirrors in my room are all collapsing. I'm starting to recognize myself in them. I think they are not broken. I think I am this shattering, am this target, targeting self. I can't hold my mother anymore. We too broken. We fall between the pieces of each other. Father, you can't love her unless she's pieces in your palms. One day she won't break. She will slip between your fingers. You will look and she won't be there. This dust. Do not go to that man that looks like a river, though you are on fire. Do you still bleed, mother? I look at my wounds and see your blood. Are you holding any more love? Do you still recognize your heart? I know this sound, this battle cry. You've given me warring ribs, a warrior's chest, grinding against each other with each breath. My mother shares our cage, this dust. I am this dust. I am this inheritance. I am this shattering, this loss of fragile breath, these porcelain lungs, this thing you cannot touch, this rotting of the chamber, this bullet shell manger, this familiar stranger. Father, you have birthed pieces of yourself and lost the rest. I've inherited your search, both the Minotaur and these walls. There is no thread to lead me back home, just self. We unravel our bones, find gunpowder in our marrow, all fireworks and shallow skin. Teach me not how to explode. You do not teach the cyclone how to spin. All displaced lives and destructive path have calloused our hands. Do not go to that man that looks like a river, though you are on fire. In the desert, all liquids look like salvation. He is gasoline, an explosion beneath your fingers, a dangerous reaction to your soul. But God, don't you burn so well?
Xabiso Vili. Amazing. Wow. If ever you find yourself passing through Johannesburg, look for the Word and Sound crew, because there is a crew of amazing poets doing amazing things there. One more time, Xabiso Vili. One more, our final judge, who's going to come and bring a little poem to the stage. Please put your hands together and welcome Talia Randall, ladies and gentlemen.
They're all looking. It's a bit scary up here, isn't it? Round of applause for these guys. It's a bit scary. They're expecting a poem. What am I going to do? Hiya. I'll give you a poem. Now, before I start, has anyone ever been back to their old school a long time after they've left? Make some noise if you have. Yeah? It's weird, isn't it? Yeah. For those of you who haven't done that, I recommend that if you do, take the rest of the day off work, because it's a bit of an ordeal. So I went back to my old school. I work a lot with schools, and the day I did, I wrote this. It's called Common Room. I'm in the Year 8 Common Room, bunking maths and chatting fraff. Room splattered with a pattern of backchat. Bodies covered in Reebok, Kappa and Naf-Naf. We are the spotty-face riff-raff, you know. Baffed by the complexities of our pulsating pores, we try to bolt the door on our hormones, but we can't keep this metamorphosis at bay, can't articulate our dismay at this change. So we cope with a throb of wet dream and the perforation of first tampon by throwing ice pops at each other and breaking each other's Tamagotchis. Remember them? They were wicked, innit? Beneath this deluge of puberty, I stare at the boy I pretend not to fancy. Despite the messy way he masticates his chips, cheese, and beans, his curtains and tracksuit make me weak at the knees. But he doesn't see me. See, I'm not part of the clan of underfed and well-bred girls that get invited into teenage beds to wrap soggy hands around newly formed glands. Yeah. At age 13, my desirability is yet to be acquired. We've all been there, man. At age 13, my desirability is yet to be acquired, so he evades my gape. He does not reciprocate. In a few years' time, I'll seek revenge and reject him on Facebook, but right now I'm upset that I'm not one of his favorites. In the panoptic space of the Year 8 Common Room, the walls are covered with self-conscious slogans that tell us drugs are bad and vegetables are good, as if we can't figure this out for ourselves. But these walls are wiser than they seem. They have seen generations of teens cut their teeth, and when the teachers don't look, the bricks pull us close to their lips and whisper, "These walls will confine you for longer than you think. These years will define you." But we don't listen, because we're too busy flirting and bullying, learning these traits that will help us succeed in the workplace. Here, we scatter the seeds of teenage dreams that we will never reap. We will get distracted from these ambitions by curriculums that care more about grades on a page than what is actually in our brains, by teachers who will define what is realistic for us to aim for. Some will get set up to fail by a system that favors compliance over free thinking, and some will slip through the cracks and be swallowed by the earth till they erupt in a volcanic violence that will burn everything they touch. They are the lost boys taught to graduate to the status of waste men, the lost girls that are taught to cut out their tongues because sometimes their words are ugly. They're the children of parents who don't have sharp elbows. The only blades they have are made from the shards of the windows they smashed because they were ignored. But they turn those knives inwards instead of severing the shackled mindset that ambition is a luxury they can't afford. And they inhale that glass. It shreds the protest from their tongues. With harsh punishments, we miseducate our young. And they can't climb above the wreckage to free their lungs because that social ladder's broken at the bottom rungs. But there are those who will succeed. And they will learn to shut up and listen, how to copy from textbooks and be part of the system, how to form an orderly queue outside a classroom that will extend through time into a never-ending line to board the tube at 8:25 a.m. every day. But back to 13. Fumes of first fag fill the music room. Her nose twitches as she enters, and I wonder if Miss knows what I've been up to. So I hide behind giggles fueled by Dr. Pepper and salt and vinegar discos, scared I'll get caught. My adolescence is wrought with these meaningless secrets. Then the music teacher screeches, "A proper cup of coffee from a proper copper coffee pot." In choir practice, we're made to repeat this over and over again till our individual voices blend into one shrill sound. Here, we will learn how to be part of a crowd. But what about those who can't sight read? Those that can't keep beat? Those off-key people will get pushed to the sidelines because they don't seem quite right. Those that stand out like sore thumbs will have to lower their voices till they're insignificant. They will hide behind dumbness and indifference. They will be pushed into a humdrum future where they can't be too loud because they boxed up their voices and lost the keys behind classroom doors. And I'm not blaming any teachers because their dreams were traded too for instant coffee and rush lunch breaks in the staff room. The weight of red pens crippled the fingers that once pointed to stars, and the passion of inspiring young minds was dampened by streamlining children into hierarchies and thereby marking out their destinies. I'm in the Year 8 common room, sewing adolescent fantasies into the upholstery of state-issued chairs, but these hopes will be superseded by a pattern of hierarchy that will see classrooms transform into office blocks and teachers into bosses. At age 13, I'm too naive to see my future in the coffee room, bunking work and shirking my duties, rooms splattered with a pattern of chit-chat, bodies covered in pinstripes, skirt, suit and ties. We are the white-collar riffraff. We flirt over spreadsheets in the hope that we'll get to dirty our bedsheets. We stuff our dreams underneath mattresses where no one can see, but like the princess, we're kept awake by the pinpricks of the pea. We keep these secrets buried deep as we walk the life that was mapped out for us at age 13. Thank you. Cheers.
Talia Randall, ladies and gents. Right then, let's get to the bottom of this. Let's get to the bottom of this. Do we have a final score somewhere? I'm waiting. I'm not sure where I'm looking. Back here. Wonderful. So what's going to happen is I'm going to invite onto the stage Mr. Marcus Davey, the artistic director of the Roundhouse, who's going to come and, let's show some love for him. And he's going to tell us who is going to be the champion 2015. Mr. Marcus Davey.
Well, we wouldn't have a poetry slam without these amazing people. Please give them another round of applause. And like you, I've been sitting there all evening, having my heart opened and reflecting on my own life through their own reflection of theirs and the world they see around them. Thank God I'm not one of these guys. So a huge thank you to our wonderful judges tonight. Who are, as you know, wonderful poets as well. So thank you very much. And to get us all exhilarated, thank you to Chris. What a fantastic job you've done tonight. Isn't poetry great? Yeah, low-tech, human. And that's why I think I love it. And that's why we probably need it more now than we've ever needed it before. So again, thank you to our poets for such beautiful words, such meaningful words that, you know, I was in tears, you're probably all in tears, laughing, seeing things in myself that I haven't seen before. I want to say a big thank you to all those people that you don't see on the stage, all the people behind the scenes, the people doing the lighting, the sound, the front of house, all those other people, the huge numbers of them that make it possible for these events to happen. To our supporters, because without the funding that they give, these kind of events would just not be possible. To the Arts Council, for they who support the Roundhouse, with diminishing funding going to the arts, they continue to support the work that I think is truly valuable. So thank you, Arts Council. To Ed Pickard, who's given an extra prize of another £50 to all the members of the collective tonight. And to Colin and Helen David, who can't be here tonight, because it's actually Colin's birthday today. He'll kill me for saying this, especially if you're watching online. I'm sorry about that, Colin. But your continued, fantastic, dedicated support of poetry and spoken word at the Roundhouse means that we can continue doing the Last Word Festival. It means we can do the Poetry Slam and do all these other workshops that we do at the Roundhouse. So thank you, hugely. And I know what you're thinking. Shut up and tell us who's won. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. So we do actually have some real prize, you know, not just a check, and you've heard what they are already, but we have some bits of metalware as well over here, which Lucy's going to give. So in the third prize, I'm delighted to say, goes to Toby. And I think most of us saw something of our lives when we heard the second prize winner talking about nightclubs. Erin. Actually, I wanted to say one more thank you before we stop, partly for the best laugh I got of the evening of how to do a physical enactment of part of Talia's poem. Thank you to these wonderful interpreters of the night as well. Come on, Marcus, say what the first prize is. So the first prize, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be able to give this first prize of £500 plus a cup to Caleb. You should know that when the judges finish doing their own scores, they don't know who the winners are, because those scores then go off to one of my colleagues who adds them all up, they're double-checked by somebody else, then they come to me. So there's only a couple of people who know before they come out. Special thank you to the judges, to Chris, to all these fantastic poets. Please stand up. Come on.
That's kind of all we've got time for. We just want to say thank you and well done to all of these wonderful humans. What a sterling show. Thank you, Marcus, for bringing us all to the Roundhouse. Thank you so much for coming out. There's an after party if anyone wants to come and have a drink with us at Made in Camden. We've got Rockabilly DJs. Come and have a drink with us there. Thank you so much. Marcus has said thank you to everyone. I don't need to say it again. Thank you all for coming out, and good night.